So you've grounded, you've done breath work, you've meditated, you've taken time to come back to yourself. But it doesn't end there. This is just the beginning, this is just the start of spirituality and your spiritual journey. And this is where the gateway to the spiritual world opens up. This grounding your energy, centering your energy, coming back to yourself, and coming back to your essence. It's where the world of spirituality and spiritual communication open up. The gateway to other realms and other dimensions can be accessed when we're more grounded, when our energy is centered and aligned. And so when you ground yourself, you're bringing all of your energy back. As you go through your day, as you go through your life, your energy gets scattered. It gets left here, it gets left there. Maybe you go to the store and a bit of your energy gets left in that conversation you had, or in that piece of fruit you picked up and then put back down, or that package of food that you picked up and put in your cart. Your energy gets left in places as you go through your day. Maybe you see something that affects your energy. Maybe you see some sad news or hear a sad song, and your energy can get left in that moment and left behind. And so when you ground yourself, you bring all of your energy back, all of the pieces of you, your essence, your vibration. When you breathe in and take a deep grounding breath, all of these energies, they float back to your soul, your vessel, your body, and they reintegrate with you. When I take a deep breath, I can feel all these energies coming back into my body, kind of through my feet, through the lower part of my body. I can feel them coming back, reintegrating, filling me back up. And so when you are grounding and you're breathing and you're meditating and you're taking time to focus on these inner aspects of our energy, we're bringing back these energies from the day or from the week or from our lives, because our lives are crazy. There's all sorts of stuff going on, all sorts of stuff. We have to do this thing over there, and we have to drive over there and go do that thing, do the laundry, do this chore, do that chore. We never get a break. And so naturally, it makes sense that our energy is all over. A bit of our vibration is over there, a bit over there. A bit of our essence is tied to these activities, these objects, these places we go to. And so when we ground our energy, we bring all this stuff back, even though we might not realize it. That's what we're doing. All this stuff has a chance to come back to us because subconsciously, spiritually, we're calling these energies back to our system, back to our energy center. And so this is only the start. The grounding and centering of our soul, of our energy, is only the start of spirituality. It's great that you're meditating and you have a meditation practice. It's very important to have this kind of daily spiritual routine, this daily spiritual practice where we can center and align our energy with ourself and with the universe, with the spiritual dimensions. But there's so much more. There's so much more to explore. And so when you're meditating, when you're breathing, you're just sitting there with your attention. You're bringing these energies back. Just sitting there, taking some time to rejuvenate, to realign our energy fields. And we still get downloads. We still get insights in this time, even if we're not trying to connect or rise or change our state of consciousness. We still get natural downloads, insights, transmissions from other dimensions, from other realms, and from our spiritual team, our guides, our angels. We still get these insights, even though we're not trying. And this is good. This is good, but we can go further. It's important to sit in silence, sit in stillness, pay attention to our breath, and just ground ourselves and center our energy. And this is, like I said, this is just the first step in spirituality and metaphysics. Once we're here, it's like the gateway. Grounding and centering your energy is like the gateway to the spiritual realms, to the metaphysical realms where we can explore and go on journeys. And so that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been exploring and going on journeys, exploring my consciousness, exploring these other states. And when you're ready, you can shift this state of consciousness, shift your state of consciousness. I like to call it flying your energy, flying your consciousness, because we ground and then we can fly. We can lift off. We can lift our consciousness once we're grounded. It's like we have to be on the ground to take off, right? If you imagine a plane has to take off from the ground. So we ground ourselves, we ground our energy first. That's the first step. And then we can take off and fly to any altitude we want. And so when you're ready, you can fly your consciousness, fly your energy. And this kind of flying of your consciousness, I like to call it, is very similar to the dream state. That kind of feeling that you get when you remember a dream, or when you notice that you're in a dream at night, is very similar to this state. Or when you're driving your car and your mind is totally somewhere else. Or maybe when you're reading and you're flipping through the pages, you're reading a fiction book and you're imagining all these things in your head. And your mind is elsewhere. Your mind is in an alternate plane, a different state of consciousness than the waking day state of consciousness. It's a shifted state of being, a shifted state of perception that you enter into when you fly your energy. And you might be doing it subconsciously. It doesn't necessarily need the intention to access this state. But I'm sure you felt this state before. It's a natural state. Some people call it the hypnotic state. Some people call it a trance state, the dream state. These are all very similar, and whatever you want to call it, it's a different state of being, a different state of consciousness. You could also call it the subtle dimensions of consciousness that we travel to in these hypnotic states when we're not really there, when we're not really in the moment. You can travel away to these different realms, these different dimensions in your mind. And so you can enter into this different plane. You can enter into this different plane in these grounded states when you're doing breath work, or when you're meditating, or when you come back to your own energy. It's a lot easier to fly into these different altered states. And so that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing lately. Sometimes listening to music can help me access this state, because it gets you into this very trance-like, dreamy, sometimes zoned out state of mind, where you can kind of go on these journeys, go on these visionary explorations, I like to call them. And you can use this for healing and exploration, spiritual exploration, metaphysical exploration. And sometimes I just naturally end up in this state. Say I'm at a dinner and people are talking and I just kind of, all of a sudden I zone out and I go off in my mind. My eyes are still open, but I go off on these journeys, seeing these images, but my eyes are still open. And so I go off in these journeys and I'm just kind of sitting there zoned out. It looks like I'm dissociating, right? I'm sure you've heard of this word, dissociation. But I'm going to other dimensions. I'm going to other realms. Dissociation seems to be more when you're totally out of it. You're totally numb or frozen. You're really not anywhere. But this is more like a journey state, an exploration state that I seem to naturally enter into, and you might have noticed this as well. Daydreaming. And so we can go on these visionary journeys for our benefit, for spiritual growth, spiritual exploration. And so that's what I've been doing. It's especially vivid when I put on headphones and listen to some music, because I'm a very auditory person. That seems to be my most open spiritual channel where I receive downloads and insights. But we can go on these visionary journeys to explore these different dimensions, explore these realms, explore our memories too. We can explore the things that we've experienced in the past and heal them or reintegrate them or further process the emotions around them. If it was not such a good experience, that memory, and if it was a good memory, we can go back and relive those good feelings and bring them forward into the present. And so memories, we can explore memories, but we can also explore our imagination. Our imagination is very, very powerful. And so when I close my eyes and go into these other states, when I'm meditating or listening to music, going on these visionary journeys, my imagination is making up all sorts of crazy, interesting, beautiful things. And maybe it's a mix of imagination or past lives or different incarnations. Maybe I'm accessing into these different realms, collective conscious or other dimensions, other planets. We don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's a mix of imagination and reality. But when I'm going on these journeys, the things that come up, the healing is profound. Just earlier today, I went on this journey. I had some music playing. I don't know if you know D'Angelo, but I was listening to his song, Send It On. And this is a very, very high vibration song. You can feel that energy in the vibration of the song. They definitely infused it with high amounts of love. And so I'm listening to this song, and I'm seeing these incredible visions of the world and like just these waves of love flowing through humanity, flowing through the world. People spinning in this beautiful aura of love and connection. And these visionary journeys that we can go on are just so powerful, so healing. And not only is it powerful for the collective conscious, but it's also powerful for ourselves. The past few journeys I've gone on have also included, aspects of myself that have come up and that I'm processing those journeys. It's like going on a psychedelic trip without any drugs, without any mushrooms, without any LSD. You can go on these trips in your own mind without needing to go get these drugs. And this is incredibly powerful. And then there's the dream state too, right? When we go to sleep, we travel to these other realms of consciousness, these subtle dimensions of consciousness. And in shamanism, in the native cultures and that kind of thing, they don't see the dream state as a different state. They just see it as part of life. It's part of living. It's just you see different things when you're sleeping. That's how they see it. And I think that's beautiful. And so when we go on these journeys in our sleep, we can heal these things. We can explore these things. And I've shifted my mindset now from going to sleep to going to sleep to go on journeys, go on explorations. I've started just going to sleep just to go journey. And this makes such a difference in the dreams and visions and healing that I get from these explorations, these different states. And when you go into these different states, you might feel this, but you kind of feel out of body, like you're not really there. It's like your consciousness, your energy around your head, it floats off somewhere else. It floats off to a different dimension, or it shifts dimensions. And this can be mistaken as dissociation, like I was saying, but it's really a different state. It's these profound journeys, these profound visionary journeys that we go on. And it's like a trip without any drugs. These are profound journeys. And so we're connecting to these subtle states of consciousness. There's so much more to the waking day. There's so many different states we can be in. And so we can learn to access these states that we go into, these different states, and get familiar with this feeling, that feeling of being so engrossed in a book that you forget where you are because these images are flashing through your mind. Or you get so involved in a movie that you forget you're even sitting in the theater. Or you're driving and your mind is elsewhere, or you're dreaming and you just feel this different state of mind, this different state of consciousness. So learn how to identify that feeling when it comes up for you. Learn how to associate that feeling with journeys. And once you've grounded your energy when you're meditating or doing breath work, just set an intention to go on these journeys, just to begin a journey. Just close your eyes and allow the pictures, the images, the visions to flow, or however you might experience it. Maybe for you it's sounds. Or maybe it's just thoughts and messages and transmissions and knowings. It's different for everyone. But we can go on these journeys, these spiritual visionary journeys, and we can heal, we can learn. We can explore these different realms, and just remember that it takes practice. It takes effort to do these things, to get to these altered states. And naturally, as you meditate more, you ground your energy more, and you come back to yourself. These states are much more easily accessible. Much more easily accessible when our energies are aligned and grounded and centered. Once we ground our energy, once the plane is on the ground, our consciousness is grounded, then we can take off into these other realms, into these other dimensions of consciousness.